Hello. Today's episode of the Dohyo, we are going to be celebrating Ozeki Kayo, going through his Yusho, and answering the question, why was he never promoted to Yokozuna? Slow and steady, salt throw.
Hakke-yoi! Throw the salt, get in the ring, welcome to the Dohyo!
We have a quick Sumo shout-out. My buddies at the Grand Sumo Breakdown are taking on an insane mad scientist project. In the absence of the upcoming cancelled Basho, they are going to be doing a fantasy Basho, a fake Basho. I'm not sure exactly what they're calling it, but the idea is they're going to build a Torikumi every day, and they're going to statistically figure out, fantasy or Stratomatic style, who would have won the matches, and Tachiai is going to be covering it like it's the real Basho. So that is an exciting crossover of the century, and you all should check it out. And there may even be a theme song there that might be by someone you know. Kayo, I primarily became aware of him as Hakuho started breaking all of his records. And I look back at this person, I'm like, Ozeki Kayo, how could all of these great sumo records be held by anything other than a Yokozuna? Well, Kayo was a guy who spent forever in sumo. He started when he was 15 and he ended when he was almost 39. He did his Maizumo seeding tournament in March of 1988. And then he started his very slow march through the lower divisions. It wasn't obscenely slow, but it wasn't the meteoric rise we are used to talking about on the Dohyo. Interesting fact about Kayo, every single time he debuted in a new division, he got hakke-yoi. Every single time. And in 23 Basho, he managed to work his way up to the Juryo ranks and never went back. Alright, I know what you're just saying. Well, didn't he just get a hakke-yoi when he got there? He did. He got a 7 and 8 at Juryo 10 and dropped him down to Juryo 11, and from there, he was all good. Kayo hung out at Juryo for a couple years before ending up sliding his way into the lower Megashira ranks, where of course he got hakke-yoi. But then in the November 93 tournament, he got promoted up to Megashira, and he was in Makuuchi for the rest of his career. Quick sidebar. He started when he was 15, in 88, and then at this point he's now 20 in November of 93. So it took him 5 years to get from the bottom of sumo to the Megashira ranks to stay. That is a long time to be in sumo wrestling. When you think about the 23 tournaments Kayo spent in Makushita and below, non-sekatори status, and then you think that university wrestlers like Asanoyama, who has only had a career of 26 Basho, or Enho, who has only had 20 Basho total in his entire career, you realize how much time Kayo spent in the lower divisions, working his way up. Quick sidebar. Now here is one of the few times you are going to see Kayo have a meteoric rise. He immediately decided, I am done with this Megashira rank, and by the time he turned 21, was basically never out of the Sanyaku or the Joy-Jin. After that, the lowest rank for the rest of his career was Megashira 3. Fun fact, he only had 10 total tournaments at Megashira in his whole career, and in those 10 tournaments, he had 6 Kinboshi. He spent 11 tournaments at Komusubi, 21, which at the time was a record, at Sekiwake before finally being promoted to Ozeki, where he spent 65 Basho there. That ties him with Chiyotaike, but I believe Chiyotaike took one more Kyujo tournament than he did. So Kayo holds the record for having the most tournaments performed in as an Ozeki. But the specific question we are looking at is, why was he never promoted to Yokozuna with this sort of resume? So we're going to be going through each one of Kayo's Yusho. We're going to be exploring the Basho just before and just after, trying to create a clearer picture of why the Yokozuna Deliberation Council did not promote him to Yokozuna. Well, the standard for Yokozuna promotions is generally 2 tournaments won in a row or an equivalent standard. What we're going to be looking for in Kayo's sort of discography is where we can find something that could be considered the Yokozuna standard. First Yusho, May 2000. In a lot of ways, this was his most dominant Yusho. He went 14-1, beat a Yokozuna, and 3 Ozeki. Why wouldn't he be given the Yokozuna rank? Well, he's still a Komusubi. You don't promote Komusubi after just one Yusho. I mean, you promote him, but you promote him to, like, Sekiwaka. But in the immediate aftermath of this, he had another double-digit win, was promoted up to Ozeki, where he spent the rest of his career and won 4 more tournaments. So, he has had a period of relative health up till this point. He has suffered from sciatica his entire career. A fun back, joint, and nerve condition, which is so much fun, even if you're not a sumo wrestler. But you're going to see a lot of tournaments where he does incredibly well, and then in the next tournament, gets a Hakke-yoi or goes Kyujo in the next tournament. A lot of that was due to the sciatica and then the joint problems that come from trying to compensate from having sciatica. But at this point, Kaio had a good measure of health. He'd been healthy for a few years. The world is still his oyster, and a little under a year later, he won his second Yusho. His second Yusho, now at Ozeki rank, in March 2001. He won it with a 13-2 record. Why wasn't he given the Yokozuna here? Well, it was only his second Yusho, and he lost to both Yokozuna in this tournament. Those were his 2 losses. And the follow-up to this second Yusho was, of course, Kyujo. His sciatica acted up, he started the tournament, was not able to finish it, so he followed up his second Yusho with another Akikoshi. This brings us to the third Yusho, which is the tournament directly after that one. So, he went Yusho, Kyujo, Yusho. The third Yusho was July 2001. Kaio wins with a 13-2 record. And while he did beat Yokozuna Musashi Maru, he did not face Yokozuna Takanohana, who was Kyujo. So, how did Kaio follow this up? He has now gone Yusho, Kyujo, now Yusho, and he followed up with Kyujo. Right afterwards, he followed it up with another Kyujo. So we jump ahead 1 year to 2002, and Kaio then goes through a stretch where he gets 3 Hakke-yoi or Kyujos out of 4 tournaments. It was a more lenient Kataban system at that time as well, so he was allowed to keep his Ozeki rank. But in March 2003, he managed to rip off his most dominant 3 Basho stretch. He went Jun Yusho, Yusho. Now how can that not be the Yokozuna standard? Okay, well, there are Jun Yusho and then there are Jun Yusho. The 2 Jun Yusho he did end up getting, he ended up getting 10 wins and 11 wins, which isn't something you'd consider the Yokozuna standard. The Yokozuna standard they were generally holding him to was 13 wins or better. And speaking of that Yokozuna standard of 13 wins, let's look into that 4th Yusho. July 2003, Kaio wins with a 12-3 record. This, of course, as we just said, comes after 2 consecutive Jun Yusho. Once again, he did not face Yokozuna Takanohana, who was Kyujo at the time. This was actually a very, very exciting tournament. Went all the way down to the wire on day 15, with Kaio defeating fellow Ozeki Chiyo Taikai. Enjoy. If we look at that, a Jun Yusho and Yusho, it sounds very impressive, but if we add up all the wins from it, he had 33 wins, which isn't a Yokozuna run, that's an Ozeki run. That isn't quite the bump they were looking for. So they came back and said, great, if you win the next tournament, or you get 13 or more wins, you can get a Yokozuna. You can do it. We believe in you. And then, Kyujo. It wasn't a full Kyujo. He was injured while training, and he ended up getting a Hakke-yoi. So now you may be starting to do a little math. Like, wait, that was 2003? I thought he started in the 80s. He did. Kaio was like Phantom of the Opera. He just started in the late 80s and kept on going. So, he ended up getting 1 more Yusho. Why didn't they promote him after that? Well, let's take a look. Yusho number 5. July 2004. At the age of 32, Kaio wins his final Yusho with a 13-2 record. Takanohana had retired by this point, and he defeated the only Yokozuna he faced, Asashoryu. So, here he is. He's 32 at the time. Sumo has just gone through the experience of having Yokozuna, Takanohana, take tournament after tournament after tournament after tournament off. I just have to think they were really, really cautious of giving someone with a chronic injury history that sort of Yokozuna key to the kingdom of, here, take tournaments off when you need to. They said, okay, you win the tournament next time, or you get 13 wins, and we will promote you to Yokozuna at age 32. Pretty old for a Yokozuna promotion. So what happened next? Not Kyujo. Actually, he came back with a very dominant performance of 12 wins. Ooh. He ended up losing a match to Megashira in that tournament by the name of Haku-ho. And that was one of the reasons they thought he was probably not Yokozuna ready, is because he lost to this Megashira. So in a very real way, if we're talking about the shadow of Haku-ho, Haku-ho may have prevented Kaio's Yokozuna promotion. Even though he ended up beating Asashoryu in that tournament, for want of a win to then Megashira Haku-ho, a Yokozuna promotion was lost. Now you may be saying, like, alright, he was one win short. He still beat the Yokozuna. Give the guy a shot. Will you just give him a shot? So they said, okay, if you win the next tournament or get 13 wins, you can be a Yokozuna. And then Kyujo, that one was a Kyujo. And that was sort of it for the rest of Kaio's career. But keep in mind, Kaio's career goes on for another 7 years at Ozeki. Two questions. Is Kaio's resume better than other wrestlers who have been given the title Yokozuna? And that answer, I think, is absolutely yes. Now, we have all this in just the benefit of 20/20 hindsight, being able to look back at his career, his long, just go to the Sumo reference page and being able to say, well, of course, look at that career. That is the career of someone who is far greater than people who were Yokozuna. Well, going back through every single one of these Yusho wins and going back through the history of the career, the Yokozuna Deliberation Council was holding a very consistent standard at the time. So, I think in this case, where we were not left without any Yokozuna and there wasn't any sort of need for an emergency promotion to fill the rank, I'd say, yeah, I agree that Kaio was I would say Kaio was our greatest Ozeki, but at no point was he quite up to the standard of Yokozuna. So here is sort of the final M. Night Shyamalan twist I want to leave you with, and it's not tree-based. I have the controversial belief that Kaio only managed to beat the records he beat because of the path he specifically had in front of him, this incredibly unique path. Let's say Kaio does get promoted to Yokozuna. Do we think that everyone would be cool with a Yokozuna constantly taking every other tournament off, every other tournament maybe having a Make Koshi, only getting 8 wins? Well, that was a lot of the second half of Kaio's career. There are so many instances of this, what I like to call the parade of 8 and 7s. So, the expectations of a Yokozuna being much higher than that of an Ozeki, I believe he would have been forced to retire before he managed to break all of these records. Because remember, it's not like he broke these records by a lot. When he broke Chiyonofuji's total wins record, he retired in that tournament. So it wasn't like he was doing a few victory laps around this. Kaio broke the record and was done. Brings me to one more final thought, and I don't have an answer to this, so I throw this out to you. Is it better to be the greatest Ozeki of all time, or is it better to be an average Yokozuna? The current analog might be Kakuryu. Kakuryu has an amazing resume and a brilliant career, but Kakuryu has never had a Zen show, and Kakuryu has had his entire career overshadowed by people like Haramafuji and Haku-ho. And even though he didn't win as many tournaments, sort of in popularity and in the public mind, Kiseno Sato has sort of overtaken him in that way. So, is it better to be a lesser-known Yokozuna or the greatest Ozeki of all time? Keep watching the channel. We have a very interesting Shadow of Haku coming up on Baruto very soon. You are not going to want to miss that. Everyone, stay safe out there. I hope you are doing well. And when you want to come back, welcome back to the dohyo!